Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. If you're new to my channel, please make sure to subscribe and in order to be entered into the monthly giveaway. This month I'm giving away the Tarte Vault to one of my lucky subscribers, so make sure you hit that subscribe button. Today I want to be talking to you guys about the Lime Crime Venus Vivid palette. This electric palette retails for $38 or 51 Canadian dollars. The front of the palette reminds me of electric neon lights they use at nightclubs. Alright, so judging from the outside, it looks pretty sturdy like any other palette would. Nothing special here, just like my other Venus palettes, but except it's black, and the colors are all rainbow neon colors, as you can see. Now, I did swatch a rainbow palette for you guys a couple weeks ago, the Tarte one, and I want to compare it also to the Urban Decay electric palette that I reviewed for you guys earlier. So I usually use an unprimed arm, but I'm going to go ahead and do the swatches side by side here. And you'll see that I'll first start with the Lime Crime Venus palette. And the first one I swatch is called Sassy, side by side with Tarte palette. The pinks don't even compare as well. Next, I'm going to compare it to the Urban Decay electric palette. And as you can see, the electric palette is just amazing and much more nicer. Going back onto the Venus palette, we'll see that this bright color, orangey color, it's actually called Super Bloom and Starburst. Comparing it to the Tarte palette again, like Tarte really has nice scented palettes. They really do smell wonderful, like vanilla like. And then comparing that to the Urban Decay electric palette, Urban Decay electric palette just stands out so much more. It's just like ma'am. And I'm not even using any primer, guys, so it's really nice. I'm going in with the color Starburst, and as you can see, it's just so much more nicer. I would say Urban Decay Electric is again coming out on top, and then probably next would be the Venus Vivid, and then the Tarte palette. So I'll go ahead and do some more colors. I'm going to go in with the yellow color called Happy Place, and also Luxe. Comparing that to the Tarte palette, it's just not really showing up as well. And then when I enter the electric palette, it just always stands out so much more. I'm going to go in with the green color in Limelight from the Venus palette, comparing it to Tarte. Tarte doesn't even have a green in this shade. It's really more like a teal, but the electric palette is just so much more complete and so much more pigmented. Next, I want to go in with the only blue it has. It's called Betty. Then comparing that to the Tarte palette, it's just so beautiful. This blue is very vivid. Comparing that to the Tarte palette, they do have a blue, and side by side they almost look a little bit identical, but the Venus one stands out so much more than the Tarte palette. And then when obviously was as I expected when I did the electric palette, it just shows so much more nicer, and you have at least two blues to work with. So there you have that. And then lastly, I want to go in and try that purple, which is called Flutter. Now Flutter is also a very pretty purple color. Tarte palette has a purple too. Let's see side by side. Tarte just doesn't stand out. It does smell really nice, but it doesn't stand out quality wise. Then we have the electric palette, and the electric palette is just so beautiful, and it doesn't even compare, and it just knocks both of them out of the park. So electric is just so much better. Then the Venus, and probably lastly the Tarte. Now another thing I want to do is just do one full arm of just the Venus palette so you can see it all by itself. So I'll go ahead and try that. And so I'll start with the pink color again, called Sassy. Then I'm gonna go in with yellow Luxe, and then yellow Happy Place, and then I'm gonna go in with the green called Limelight, and orange called Super Bloom, and then I missed another orange called Starburst, and going back to purple, it's Flutter, and blue, Betty. So these colors are definitely there, but they're not the most high quality. Now I want to swatch them side by side with electric so you can see what I'm talking about, just electric and Venus by itself. As you can see, the electric palette is just so much more visible and pigmented, and again, my arm is not even primed, so I don't know why anyone wouldn't give the electric a chance. I mean, obviously one reason would be because it's not being sold anymore, but if you can get your hands on online somewhere, you could probably find it. Now I want to go ahead and see how they blend in comparison. So I'm going to swatch, I'm going to draw an eye and see how these colors blend together. Now somebody once told me that this might be a good way to compare it, so I'll just go ahead and compare these colors and see how they blend together. Now my expectation of this palette, the Venus palette, is to have good blending. As other people have mentioned, it really does seem to blend very well, and you can really mix up these colors without having one of them get erased, and they still show up beautifully on the skin. Next I'm going to go in with the Tarte palette. Now Tarte palette did have some complaints about blending. Let's put that to the test. As you can see, the red color is just not blending at all with the purple. They kind of go over on top of each other, but they don't really blend into a third color. So far Venus is ahead. Then I'm going to go in with my electric palette, and I'm going to draw another eye here and see if the electric palette has issues with blending or not. So I'm going to go in with similar colors like a blue and the purple, and as you can see, these are just already blending beautifully. They do blend like a dream, and they come up to show a third color, whereas Tarte is really weak in this area. But I do support Tarte for their scented palettes, and Venus came out in the middle. So I guess if you want an average palette that does the job but it's not perfect, for $39 you could, and these swatches are a demonstration of that. So let me know what you guys thought about this, if you really enjoyed this or not. I personally found it very interesting to see how these palettes compared to each other, and I really enjoyed working with all of them. If you probably have one or the other, I wouldn't get this palette. And also don't forget my YouTube giveaway at the end of the month, so make sure you're subscribed to be entered into that giveaway. Once again, it's going to be the Tarte Makeup Vault, so make sure you're subscribed. Thank you so much again for watching. I hope you enjoyed it, and have a great day.